Right, what I thought I'd do for you is a quick comparison between Apple's latest, the Series 2, and this is the Nike Plus edition, and the Garmin Fenix 3 HR, or Fenix 3 HR, depending on how you want to pronounce it. The reason I'm doing a comparison is because both of these watches claim to be runners' watches. Both of them claim to be waterproof and claim to be aimed at keen runners and athletes. So let's have a look. Now, they're both actually within the same price bracket. I've been using the Garmin Fenix 3 HR for quite a few months now, and I got one of these Apple watches just really to have a look and see, is it time, is there potential to switch, is it as smart as they say, is it as good as they say. So what I'm not going to do is give you a full rundown or review of the Apple iWatch Series 2. If you want that, there are lots of those on YouTube. If you want a good review of the Garmin Fenix 3 HR, can I humbly recommend my own, which I'll put a link in, where I've done a thorough review of this watch. This is the Sapphire edition. They both come in at about the same price points. So from that point of view, I thought I would compare them. Firstly, let's look at the hardware. Then after that, we'll look at the running aspects and the configurability, etc., etc. Now, straight off, they both claim to be waterproof, and indeed they both are waterproof. This, as I said, is Sapphire. I don't think this entry-level Apple Watch is Sapphire. So from that point of view, there's a little bit of a difference. I suppose straight off the bat, if you look at them in terms of size, the Apple Watch is considerably thinner on the wrist. And in fact, when it came out the box, this is the 42 millimeter version. I thought I'd got the 38 because it seemed so small in comparison to the Garmin. I can't really see there, but I thought, oh, well, they sent the wrong one, but they hadn't. But it is smaller. This is a very big chunky watch. As you can see, it's a big beast in comparison. They've both got inbuilt GPS, which is another great function for both of them. So from that point of view, for running, they both should be relatively compatible. They've both got heart rate monitors on the back. They've both got motion sensors within them, etc., etc. So you should be able to track your movement to a fairly fine degree. So from running, that should be fairly compatible, let's hope. One of the other advantages and disadvantages of both of them, I suppose, is battery life and screen resolution and screen brightness. Now, there you go. With the light on, they're both, you can see them both. And although it's hard to tell on this display, I've got to say that the screen brightness and resolution, sharpness, clarity on the iWatch is just staggering. You couldn't want for anything better. It really is bright and it really is glorious to look at. This, of course, is your standard old digital display. It's got some color functionality. You won't be able to see it there because I haven't got my heart rate on. I mean, that's the circle's supposed to be green. It's kind of greenish, not very green, but you know. So you've got some color, but clearly the display is different. The other big difference, of course, is battery life. The Apple Watch, you won't get a day out of it. I haven't got anywhere near a day out of it. You can see I haven't used it that much today, really, and the battery, I've already charged it earlier on today. Battery's going already. This, on the other hand, I'll get a good 5 days out of this without any problem at all. And it'll get 10 minutes or so when I'm in the shower, top up normally. This wouldn't survive on that. So very wonderful screen, but very, very poor battery life. Manageable screen, not great. You wouldn't be able to display photographs on this one. Of course, you can display photographs on that one. But of course, the battery life functionality on this one is a lot better. Again, from a physical point of view, this one just feels as if it's a bit more of a tank. If you are the sort of person that's going to be roughing it and getting it, banged about, I think this will last and live a lot longer. This does feel a little bit more delicate to the touch, and although you can change straps on the both of them, I thought I'd mention the straps. This, of course, has an interesting feature whereby when you put it on your wrist, you poke that through there and then poke your surplus strap into there. It's kind of a different way of doing things, but when you undo it, of course, it's very susceptible to falling off if you're not used to it. It's a different kind of strap than this, which of course is your classic buckle type. You can change straps on both of them, so that's neither here nor there. The other thing I thought I'd point out straight away is that although this is the Nike Plus edition, there's nothing really different about this apart from the fact that the Nike Plus come in different straps and different versions. Actually, what you could do if you want is just buy any Apple Watch Series 2 and you can download the Nike Plus app onto it, and then basically it gives you everything that you've got with the Nike Plus edition. So you're not really getting anything supersonic. Frankly, I don't like the straps that are available under the Nike Plus edition anyway. Yeah, they're kind of nice, but you can only really wear them out running. You wouldn't really want to wear that to the office or something. That just looks a little bit weird in my opinion. But I get that different people feel different ways about straps. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so I taking them on several runs, a couple of long walks, and some other bits and bobs just to test out the mapping features. So the difference is straight off from the software point of view. If I'm honest, I think that this clearly does so much more than be just a running watch. Yep, it integrates with your iPhone. It just does such a lot more. It has its own built-in apps for lots of different stuff that interface with your iPhone. It really is an extension of your iPhone on your wrist. You can take and receive calls. I'm not going to go into that stuff. If you want that, that's great, but it's a slightly different thing to this, which is really a dedicated sport watch and or running watch, which also has some smart notification functionality. So from that point of view, they're kind of different things, whereas this is a smartwatch, an iPhone extension that also has some running functionality. Slightly different approach, and that comes through in spades. This one here, the Garmin Fenix 3, I've got it configured to give me different types of running activity, different types of treadmill notifications. So when I'm using those different features, I get warnings every 5 minutes or however long I need to take a drink, different types of notifications at different times of my run. And I can configure the display screens in a way that none of the apps let me do on this just yet. Now, that I'm sure is a software feature, because surely this screen is of such great resolution that you can almost do anything on it, but it almost seems like no one's really put an awful lot of effort into the ability to configure screens, etc. on this. As far as I know, it has the same functionality in terms of sensors as the Garmin, so you should be able to do an awful lot. I've taken them both on runs, as I said. The mapping software is about the same, within 10 meters or so, the distance has come out the same, the time has come out the same. The pace has come out a little bit different depending on whether I was using a foot pod and or a chest strap with the Garmin. In fairness, I've tried both. They're much closer when I just use the two watches together, but if I use either the foot pod or the foot pod and a chest strap, I get slightly different and I'm guessing more accurate result from the Garmin. That would be another disadvantage of the Apple Watch, in that at the moment anyway, you can't really connect a separate chest strap, not that I know of, to it and or a foot pod to get that kind of additional cadence information, VO2 max information. And that's something which I do like about the Garmin Fenix 3. You can race yourself to an extent on the Apple Watch, but you don't have the kind of functionality to build in. So if I do repeat speed sessions, etc., I can build in training sessions onto the Garmin watch, which will guide me through training sessions in the sort of way that I haven't been able to discover finding a way of doing it on the Apple Watch. Doesn't mean you can't do it, because again, I'm sure that's just software, and this has all the sensors that this has as far as I know, so there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that, but it's not there yet. And again, that comes back, I think, to the fact that this is a really, really good iPhone extension smartwatch, which has some running apps built into it, as opposed to this being a really good running watch, which also has some functionality for smart apps too. In terms of other features that you might be interested in, such as sleep, this Garmin monitors your sleep. It's okay. It gives you okay results. You can't really tell. And frankly, no sleep monitor can really tell without having electrodes on your head, whether you're lying there silently listening to your radio half the night or a talking book, or whether in fact you're asleep. Unless it's got something on your head, it's not really going to know that. But what I was very disappointed with the Apple Watch is it has no native sleep tracking app, so you're going to have to download something separate and try and make it work with your whatever your favorite sleep app is, etc., etc. So if you want those sorts of things, there's a slight difference there. Now, I suppose the big thing for me, which I discovered, was the Nike Plus app, which I wouldn't have used before, but I have to say I really like it, both on the iPhone and on the web. I think the Nike Plus app, it's I think it's called Nike Plus Run Club is the app, and you can see it up there, and when you press it, you kind of get into the ability to start a run or whatever else you want to do down there. A really, 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 really good app and a good experience compared to the Garmin app, Garmin Connect for the iPhone and the Garmin Connect website, which are just uniquely rubbish. I've got to say, and I'm sorry Garmin or anybody else that really loves them, but they're way over complex. I think it's trying to do too much for too many sports and too much stuff. It's just absolutely cluttered and impossible to get what you want and to get the information you need quickly and easily in a very presentable way. The Apple or the Nike Plus app, on the other hand, is actually just feels nice. It feels nice on the iPhone. It feels lovely on the web too. And it just feels like a much better, well thought through. But it just focuses on running. And maybe that's the problem. Garmin are trying to do everything in their iPhone app and in their online app. And actually, it just feels like a bit of a mess. And it doesn't really work very well at all. So from an app point of view, I've got to say, I much prefer the Nike Plus app than I do the Garmin app. But again, you can use the Nike Plus app with your Garmin. And I'm going to start doing that to see, in fact, if it's any good. I've used Stride Strava, I've used lots of other apps, as you know, there's lots of things out there, but I was impressed with the app. Of course, the other thing you get when you log on via a web browser to the Nike Plus app, it ties you into their merchandising and their clothing, all other sorts of stuff. So it's a slightly different thing, which you don't really get with the Garmin. It's a slightly different thing. As I say, you've got the screen there, which you can and can't use. It's up to you. To be honest with you, if the battery life was better on this, I would be sorely tempted to actually go for the Apple Watch. And if I could configure the screens and the prompts and the alerts and also the training regimes that I've been able to do with this one here, I love the fact that the more I've owned the Fenix 3 HR, the more I've used it, the more it's adapted itself to my way of life as I've learned more about it. Really, really like that. But I just can't stand the iPhone app, and I can't stand the online service, which is a real shame. And I'm desperately looking for other things that will accept the functionality of my Fenix 3. The iWatch, I love the display. It's absolutely beautiful and brilliant and crisp and really, really nice. The taptic feedback is great. It's much better than the way too gentle vibrate of the Fenix 3. You know, I use the cadence on the Fenix 3 quite a lot to help me run, but to be honest with you, it's very hard to feel it. I've got to actually take the watch off and hold it in my hand like that to be able to feel the vibration of the cadence, because when it's on the wrist and I'm running, I just can't feel it, which is really frustrating. The taptic feedback on the iWatch, the Apple Watch rather, is much better, much stronger. But again, I couldn't find a way of setting cadence while I was running. That's just not there. But again, that's just software, and I'm sure it could be there. So at the moment, it definitely is the Garmin Fenix 3. It fits everything I need to do. It's a great training buddy, a great training pal, and I can't be bothered with charging this thing and it takes such a long time to charge the Apple Watch as well. I mean, it takes a long time to charge it up. Life's too short. I can't be bothered with that kind of nonsense. On the other hand, I do love the screen. I love the brightness. It comes down to battery power for me, and it comes down to what software is available. And although the Nike Plus app is great and I love it, the ability to configure the screens is too limited at the moment. The additional prompts and additional stuff which is available on the Garmin isn't there, and for that reason I'll be sticking with my Garmin Fenix 3 for now. But you got to watch, because it's coming of age, and as soon as the battery power, the battery life extends, and as soon as the software guys kind of do their stuff and develop some better software tailorability for your runners, etc., this is going to be something to look out for. Like I say, you don't need to worry about the nonsense strap. You can just buy one with a decent strap, and you can just install the Nike Plus app, etc., or whatever app you want. But it's coming, it's good. I was pleasantly surprised. I expected nothing, and I've really enjoyed using it. I've really enjoyed running with it. Of course, I had them both on the same wrist. I do like the idea of a foot pod and or a chest strap, only because as you're running, if you drink water, if you lift bottles, etc., it's going to affect your cadence, and you might say it's just a few steps, but actually I like to know what's going on. Also, of course, these guys measure on their own. They measure your pace from GPS settings, etc., whereas if you've got a foot pod on and or a chest strap, well, you've got additional information to calibrate or corroborate your GPS, running pace, etc., to give you even more accuracy, especially if you're doing a 5K and you need to make sure that each K you're running at exactly your limit where you need to be to beat your PB or whatever. So at the moment for me, sticking with the Garmin Fenix 3 HR, it's good. I love it. I'm learning, it's learning me, and we're working very well together. But I'm telling you, this Apple Watch is on the way. It's almost there. If they can sort out the battery so I can get 2 or 3 days battery out of it instead of just one, even then that's not as good as you can get. And if you can get people to actually write some decent configurable screens and apps and reminders and stuff while you're running, well, competition's going to be hot. There we are. If you've got any questions, please put them down in the questions area below. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Those two things really help and really make a big difference. If you've got a minute, please just do that. Also, go and check out my review of the Garmin Fenix 3 HR. If you're thinking of getting one, you will not go wrong. And if anyone ever looks from Garmin, can you please just, whoever sorted out the Nike Plus app, can you go and hire them and get them to have a little bit of a fiddle around with your app and your website too, please? Because really it's a bit congested and it's just a bit of a nonsense. But there we are. Thanks for looking as ever. Any questions, comments, as I say, put them in the box below. Apart from that, there you go.